We'll be right back after this break. You know, the more you look at the actions of our federal government today, the more it begins to resemble the Dark Empire in Star Wars, doesn't it? It's like, I want to rewatch all those movies because now I'm really expecting that when they lift that helmet off Darth Vader's head, you know that scene where the helmet comes off and I'm expecting he's going to turn around like The Exorcist and it's going to be Janet Napolitano in there. And you're like, evil darkness. In fact, we have a clip from Admiral Tarkin, who's speaking about the Rebel Alliance. Go ahead and play that clip because it's relevant today more than ever. You have that ready? Got that? Okay, here we go.
This bickering is pointless. Now, Lord Vader will provide us with the location of the rebel fortress by the time this station is operational. We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke.
We will then crush the rebellion with one swift stroke. What a great line. And a movie that's relevant now more than ever before. In fact, I think we should all go back and watch that because it's funny. It's like, it's like the U.S., the DHS in particular. And again, I'm not saying everybody in government is bad, but the DHS in particular and the TSA, it's like they're reading the Star Wars script and they're trying to become the Dark Lord. They're trying to become Darth Vader. It's like they're taking the worst, most evil, most destructive parts of the movie and saying, how can we do that? And then that's what they roll out, except, well, with a little bit of a pedophile, recipe in the mix to make sure they're reaching down the pants of little boys and girls at the airports. They're kind of like a Vader Sandusky kind of character with a little Napolitano thrown in there in the mix. I mean, it's getting pretty gross. So let's change the subject. Coming up, by the way, well, actually, let's go right to Julian Assange because Mr. Assange gave a speech this morning, and we're going to play just a few seconds of that for you here in a second. But look, this is a big deal because, of course, the Ecuadorian embassy and Ecuadorian President Rafael Correa has given Assange a political asylum and has granted him some safe haven right there in the embassy in London. But, of course, the UK government, being a dark empire, has threatened to raid the embassy at gunpoint and kidnap Julian Assange, and they didn't need to say the rest, which probably includes having him killed. So this is the UK today, all right? So while Julian Assange has established the moral high ground of saying, let us have free journalism and free expression. Let us have that humanitarian position of free speech, which is the First Amendment. The UK government says, we will crush the rebellion with one swift stroke by attacking the Ecuadorian embassy. I mean, it's that crazy. That is the tyranny, the terrorism, you might say, of the UK government today, which is a total police state, total runaway 1984 Orwellian, cameras everywhere on every street corner, total police state. And, of course, Paul Joseph Watson covers that on a daily basis. He can give you more details. But check this out. So I want to give you some inside information. But first, how about this? Play us a few seconds of Assange's speech, just the intro there, if you would, so people can hear that.
That we hold dear. Remind them of your vigil in the dark before the embassy of Ecuador. Remind them how, in the morning, the sun came up on a different world and a courageous...
All right, so that was Julian Assange. I'm not going to play the whole speech, but let me give you the highlights of it here. Quote from Assange, the United States must pledge before the world that it will not pursue journalists for shining the light on the secret crimes of the powerful. Good quote. I agree with it. He also says, quote, there must be no more foolish talk about prosecuting any media organization, be it WikiLeaks or be it the New York Times, he says. And what about be it Infowars, for that matter, because Infowars is being surveilled by the Department of Homeland Security. So let me give you some inside information on this. And here's where it comes from. Many of you may know I used to live in Ecuador. And I have an Ecuadorian driver's license, and I have a residency visa in Ecuador. And I own property in Ecuador. I don't anymore, but I did before. So, you know, I spoke pretty darn good Spanish at the time and interacted with the locals and interacted with the politicians down there. Got a lot of inside information on Correa. And overall, Correa he's a very smart guy. He was a professor of economics at the University of Illinois here in the States. He's not a typical Latin American leader. He's very well connected, and he has a backup plan. Now, look, Ecuador right now, it runs on the U.S. currency. So the dollar is the currency in Ecuador. But as the U.S. inflates, or I should say devalues the currency, causing price inflation by creating more fiat currency, which gets back to the counterfeit currency keyword that we mentioned earlier, they are, in essence, stealing purchasing power from the people of Ecuador. And in Ecuador right now today, if you go there and you talk to the taxi drivers, they will rant endlessly to you about the increase in prices of cooking gas, of basic staples, of rice, of gasoline, fuel, all these things that they need to live. Why are those prices rising? Because the Ecuadorian economy is based on the U.S. dollar, and the U.S. dollar is being devalued due to the U.S. and Federal Reserve's policies of printing more fiat currency, or digitally creating it, in essence, thereby devaluing the purchasing power of the currency that exists in circulation. So Correa has a backup plan, and he, along with other Latin American leaders, they've been talking about a plan to have their own South American, Latin American currency, okay? So this is the big backup plan. When the U.S. dollar collapses or becomes massively devalued, or new currency floods the marketplace, or China sells off its holdings and so on, whatever crisis happens, Ecuador and the rest of Latin America is ready to switch to their own currency. That's the information that I got when I was living down there, and that was over a year ago that I got that information. Since then, I haven't had any updates, so I can only imagine this is a little further along than it was then. They may already have their backup currency printed. They may be ready to switch over at any time. But the point is, Latin American leaders hate the UK and the USA. They hate the countries. They hate the leadership, I should say. They don't hate the people. The people of all countries normally get along. It's the leaders that hate each other. They hate America for being a bully. It was a bully down in Ecuador. America was launching its drug war, chemical assaults on local farmers using the military base that used to exist in Manta. And Correa kicked the U.S. out of Manta so that the U.S. could not launch its chemical weapons attacks on coca tea growers in Ecuador. This was done under the drug war. So if you live in Ecuador and you're trying to grow your little farm of coca tea, which is perfectly legal, it's just consumed as a tea, it's not cocaine, there's nothing wrong with it. And imagine you see the evil airplane from the U.S. empire come over and spray like an Agent Orange type of chemical all over your village, all over your children, all over your farms, destroying your livelihood, destroying your health. Are you going to be happy about that? No, you're not going to be happy about that. It's an attack from a foreign empire destroying your local farming economy. That's the way Ecuadorians see it. And that's the reality of what's happening down there. No wonder Correa is standing up to the U.S. and the U.K. in giving Assange political asylum. So stay with us. A lot more straight ahead right here.
Sick of the globalist eugenicist control freaks.
Along the coach roads.
All right, in just a few minutes, we're going to be joined by John B. Wells, the Saturday night host of Coast to Coast AM. This is Mike Adams here, hosting for Alex Jones today. Thanks for joining us. I'm the editor of naturalnews.com, known as the Health Ranger. And I got a little bit of a personal story for you about health transformation. Many of you may not know this, but a decade ago, I was borderline obese. I was borderline type 2 diabetic. I was hypoglycemic. I was in bad shape. I had chronic pain. I had high cholesterol. I had depression. I had a lot of things wrong, health-wise. I was eating a junk food diet. I was taking medications. I wasn't aware. I wasn't awakened. I wasn't informed like I am now. But I've learned so much since then. In fact, that's sort of how I came onto the scene, was teaching people about nutrition and the transformative power of superfoods and great nutrition, and how that can just absolutely transform not just your body, but your mind as well. And, it's funny. I just got to plug this product here. It's called Interfood. It's at the Infowars store, which is InfoWarsStore.com. And the reason I have to mention this is because I gave this company my Editor's Choice Award years before Infowars ever even started carrying it. This product is so good. It's so nutrient dense. I wish I had had this available 10 years ago when I was getting healthy. I had to use other things. It was hard kind of to mix it all up myself. But today, you can get this Enerfood. It's ENER food at the Infowars store. They have all their products there. They're really just quite amazing. You know, you talk about nutrient-dense superfoods. We're talking about seaweeds with the trace minerals, with the iodine. We're talking about the microalgae, the chlorella, the spirulina. And by the way, I mix this, believe it or not, listen carefully, I mix this with chocolate, that is cacao powder, and avocado, yes, a fresh avocado, blended with almond milk. So if you blend, again, Enerfood with cacao and almond milk and an avocado and a little bit of sweetener like palm sugar or stevia or raw honey, you are going to have a delicious shake. It tastes like a chocolate ice cream shake. I kid you not. A lot of people say, what, you're drinking avocados? That sounds weird. Not in Latin America, it doesn't seem weird. Not in Asia, it doesn't seem weird. Only in America, people do not really drink avocados. Believe me, it tastes like ice cream because avocados are fatty and rich. And I'm actually drooling right now. I got to get some of this. But anyway, check that out at InfoWarsStore.com. It's a very good product. And lastly, before we go to John Wells, you know, the deal is I'm a big advocate of what I call patriot nutrition. And by patriot, I mean people who believe in America, you know, people who believe in the founding fathers, people who believe in the Bill of Rights and the Constitution and keeping our oaths to protect those rights. So that's America to me. You know, these globalists running the show in Washington, they are not America. That's not real America. I'm all for empowering and protecting real America, and you got to remember the nutritional component, folks. If you have good nutrition, you have better automatic night vision. I mean, literal biological night vision works better when you have good nutrition. You heal faster. You deal with stress better. You're more fertile. I mean, your reproductive organs even work better. Here, there's a better shot of the bottle. Everything works better when you have good nutrition. And if we want to restore this republic and defeat tyranny and restore liberty, you better have nutrition on your side. That is the best and most powerful ally of all. And take it from me, the Health Ranger, this stuff can transform your life. Now, thanks for your attention on that issue of huge importance. I want to introduce John B. Wells now. Many of you are probably already familiar with him. He's just an all-around awesome dude. I got to tell you. He's obviously the Saturday night host of Coast to Coast AM. He is a musician, a writer, a composer. He's into martial arts. He's into liberty. He's been all over, you know, working on Discovery Channel's Deadliest Catch and Gold Rush because of his incredible voice talent that you're going to hear. He's got a website called caravantomidnight.com, caravantomidnight.com, where he offers and discusses some solutions for being exposed to radiation and other threats to your health. And I encourage you to check out that website. And he joins us now for the next roughly hour and 20 minutes to talk about a number of subjects, but especially what we see as the coming collapse. John B. Wells, welcome to the Alex Jones Show.
Wow, did you referred to me as the dude. That's quite an honor, Mike. Thank you.
The dude. That's not a reference to Lebowski or that movie, but yeah.
Well, it's true. The dude abides, you know.
Most definitely. Well, John, welcome to the show. It's great to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you heard what we covered earlier, but Department of Homeland Security has been monitoring Infowars.com. What do you think about that?
Hi, Janet. I think you're adorable. I think you're so cute. It doesn't surprise me. You know, Mike, just to start, I know we don't want to be men who multiplieth the words without wisdom or knowledge. But if the capability is there, eventually it's going to be used. So, frankly, I'm shocked that we haven't learned they've been monitoring